Okay, so guys, it's an honor of mine to introduce our first speaker, which is Dr. Pradhyumn Singh. It is Pradhyumn, not Pradhyuman, is what I also realized. He is a medical doctor with an MBBS and MD degree. Dr. Singh has further expanded his expertise with a master's in psychology, and he is not only just a medical professional practitioner, but he is also a life and mindset transformation coach. So guys, life and mindset transformation coach is what Pradhyum is. He has authored 3 books, by the way. So 3 books bande ne likhi hai, out of which one book, which is neat, which is the success blueprint, is a national I think, what is that, national bestseller, right? So it's a national bestseller with I think sold over more than 5,000 copies. And there are other 2 books that one of the name of the book is The School of Life, and another is A Life of Coach's Book of Questions. So basically, the book that I have is the third one, which has a lot of questions, a very deep question, deep thoughts that he has put into the book. And these are all a lot of questions that then allows you to think deep about yourself. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Pradhyumn Singh, as he will walk us through his wisdom that we are all waiting to, explore on. I would want everyone to just write clap in the chat box so as to welcome Dr. Pradhyumn Singh. Sir, stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Ritesh. And I think you can take that liberty of calling me Pradhyumn or Praddy, whatever you're comfortable with. I think friends first. And as I said, today is Independence Day, guys. So let's be informal. Let's be a little chatty. And I'd love to know from you all as to what your expectations from this talk is. Precisely because, जैसा मैंने कहा ना, I'll be talking दिल से दिल की बात करेंगे. I have not prepared a thing, and that's the truth of the day. And I want it to be curated as per what your expectations are, because you see, this theme in itself is like a whole spectrum. At the most, what we can be doing is by doing justice to one bit of it, one part of it. We cannot definitely be talking about the entire spectrum, and I am not the best of the guys to be talking about the entire spectrum. So I'd love to know from you all in the chat box as to what your expectations are. The great and wonderful introduction that Ritesh has given for me, I am really humbled and not really sure as to why and how I fit into such great, enormous words. But yeah, that's it. So I'd love to know from you guys in the chat box, and in the meanwhile, someone from the team, if they can just read out one by one, because sometimes the chat moves very fast. So one by one, Ritesh, if you can read it out for me, all the chats.
Definitely. The first chat is mine, which is the stress in today's world and how can we use technology to guide us through this?
Okay, just let me grab a pen and write down stress. Next point.
Yeah. So there is no next point. I think people are still thinking about it and talking out, typing out. So you can maybe start off with my point.
Okay, stress in today's world. Fine. So guys, as you all might be aware, हमारे बड़े बूढ़े समझदार ज्ञानी लोग, ancient sages as well as the contemporary mystics have all stressed upon one fact, that ati sarvatra varjayet. That means, to spell it out simply in Hindi, ati bigade mati. Anything that you do in excess beyond a certain limit is something that is distressful, something that is harmful, something that can be depressing, something that is having a negative connotation attached to it. Right? Write down in the chat box, agree if you agree with this ancient age old wisdom that has been passed on for ages, for generations, and it has still held true for most parts, right? Himanshu says agree. Thank you, Himanshu. Agree says Priyanka. Okay, Itika says agree. That's wonderful. So you see, this is precisely the point that I'll be talking about. Whether you talk of stress, whether you talk of anxiety, whether you talk of depression, there are a plethora of so-called diagnosable clinical mental illnesses, if I were to say so. And because I come from a medical background, there are more than 50 diagnosable mental illnesses which are by and large prevalent across the spectra of society, regardless of socio-cultural, economic, caste based, ethnicity based, or any kind of divisions that we have created as a humanity, as a race. So when we have so many mental illnesses, and I'm talking on something, as a medical practitioner, I'm not doing justice, and that is why I'm giving this disclaimer for the sake of simplicity, for the sake of understanding. I'll be talking about mental illnesses, predominantly anxiety, stress, and depression, right? There are a lot of things, and I'm sure not many people might even be aware of beyond maybe 10-12 diseases, but because I come from that background, this disclaimer becomes very important for me to be given on my part for you all. So you talked of stress. Now this AI, in my perspective, as a life coach, as a psychotherapist, as a counselor, as a medical practitioner, is like a double-edged sword. And this is why I started off my talk with that quote, Ati Sarvatra Varjye. If you go beyond the point, it will be diminishing, it will be distressing, it will be having some sort of negative impact upon you, no matter what, no matter who you are. That is one thing. Secondly, even if you don't use it, then also AI, being what it is going to be putting you behind a lot of your peers, putting you behind in the competitions. Why I am saying this is because of personal experience. I could help two of my clients who were taking life coaching sessions from me write a book. And how and why they were able to write that book is because of AI. A lot of people have knowledge, but they are not able to edit the book. A lot of people have ideas, but not able to put words to it. So this is just an example to impress upon you the simple fact that AI is also helpful. Now, this being called a double-edged sword is simply because of simple reason. If you just neglect it altogether, it is going to put you behind in the race. And let's accept it. I think there are all techies in this room. So we are all running a rat trap. We are all in a rat trap, and we are all running a rat race. Let's be frank about it, right? No matter how brutal or arrogant I may sound, with all humble and due respect to all of you, this is the reality of the modern world, and there's nothing wrong. The only thing is, if you are running a rat race, at least there run to your best capability. Now, your best may not be actually the best, but that gap needs to be bridged. What your potential is versus where you are performing. And in today's modern era, this AI, artificial intelligence, is giving us that edge. No doubt about it. However, if you overdo it, let's say a social media influencer is creating all his content through AI, there will be no personal touch. There will be no human connection. His own insights will not go into the content that he's creating. So we may slowly start to develop some sort of distance. No matter how well he was creating the content initially, we will start developing that distance or dislike for him or her. These two examples, I think the one of book being written by my clients just with the simple tool of chat GPT, and this one of, in fact, this is one of my friend who used to be a social media influencer, has seen a significant decline in his following. And the simple reason is the correct use of, amicable use of AI, and the misuse or overuse of AI. And it is precisely for this reason that I told you it is like a double-edged sword. Now let's talk about stress. And before I talk about stress, okay, I've written a point just extemporaneously. I thought, don't you think this AI is having a positive impact on mental health? Why I'm saying this is because being a counselor, being a psychotherapist, a lot of people come to me for help, particularly the depression patient. The number of counseling sessions are too many. because there needs to be some sort of emotional catharsis. That means there should be an outlet, a vent to your emotions, firstly, to go to the root cause and then being able to resolve it. Now, why I call this AI as a boon to mental health is because a person need not necessarily come to a psychotherapist or a mental health counselor for small issues. You have chat gpt. I'm just taking that example, by the way. No offenses to other AI tools, I'm not even aware of them. This chat gpt, a simple tool, you can use it for free, converse, and a lot of your tensions, a lot of your emotional catharsis will already be resolved there. You are going through a cathartic process there itself. That's all for free. And that is also reducing the financial burden on the clients or patients part, and also reducing the overall load on the mental health care system of the country. Because India being what it is, the ratio is highly disturbed. We have a significant shortage of mental health experts. So it helps me because a person who's mildly depressive might be well resolved over AI, and my burden is lowered, his or her financial burden is lowered. Make sense? Write down in the chat box MS. Makes sense if this point is something that you think, yeah, सही बात तो बोल रहा है, आगे सुनते हैं डॉक्टर को. And write down in the chat box, please go PG if you think ये क्या बकवास कर रहा है यार, इसको क्यों बुलाया है AI और टेक वाली समिट में. रितेश भाई मेरे को कमेंट्स भी पढ़ देना एक बार. जस्ट रीड आउट people who have written other than stress, other than your point. I think your point was answered here itself. You talked about stress in today's world, and this is how I look at it from a mental health expert's side, from my perspective, that it can aid the mental health experts as well, also help the people who are facing some sort of stress related issues, anxiety related issues, or simply a mild depressive episode. Now, that might not be clinically diagnosable mental health illness, but it could be a simple depressive episodes. Predominantly, now that I handle youth, I am teaching in a medical college. So the most burning issue is breakup ho gaya. For issues like this, I think people should rather spend their time with chat gpt than me, because no matter how many times you tell them the same thing, it keeps on repeating. It's like a loop. जैसे गाना लूप पे चलता है वैसे ही. पर वो अच्छी तो बहुत थी, मेरे दिल में तो वही बस गई है. मैं क्या करूं, मेरे से नहीं छोड़ा जाता. आई जस्ट कांट गेट ओवर इट. ये ऐसे इश्यूज बहुत सारे हैं, मतलब ऑलमोस्ट हर दूसरा दिल. और इंडिया में तो ऑलमोस्ट हर गली में टूटे दिल वाले आशिक रहते ही हैं. तो दिस इज ऑफ कोर्स अ बिग psychological boon to the society. Ritesh, if you can go on to the next points, I'll just curate it accordingly.
Yes. So there is a follow-up on the same topic. The follow-up is that makes sense. However, the patient may not experience the human touch that the counselor may give, which I feel is exactly the filtration or pipelining mechanism that Pradhyumn sir is talking about, which is the initial small issues can be filtered out. Later on, any severity can come through him. So let me take up some other question. The second question was, how can we change our mindset specifically when there is a feeling of setback starts to get better of you? How technology can be helpful to change such mindset?
Okay, let's look at it from a different perspective. Like, I'm answering this question in a roundabout way, and I'm really sorry for that if it doesn't answer you directly. But I'll use the path of tangentiality. The thing is, let's talk about social anxiety. A lot of us have social anxiety, right? A lot of people are not familiar with people or not familiar with conversing to people. And if if i'm I'm just assuming, if you, let's say, start using chat gpt and start conversing with it in a way that you will converse with the human beings, a lot of your technicality, the hard skills, might be taken care of in terms of what you need to speak, how you need to speak, what you need to put in as a prompt on chat gpt to get the answer that you want. So this is like also like a training ground, a playground, and this can help you in the long run, that slowly, steadily, when you go to the actuality, when you go on ground and talk with people, it can be very easy for you to speak the right things. Yes, I'm not saying the social anxiety will be taken care of in its entirety, but the root cause can primarily be answered. Why I'm saying the root cause? Because if you look at it from a third person's view, let's say I am playing on this plane, my palm. If I'm playing on this plane and suddenly I get this view, this bird's eye view or third person view, my understanding of things will change. And if you look at from this third eye view, I'm telling you, any and every problem that we have related to mind is somewhere down the line due to fear. Fear. Write down in the chat box fear, fear. If you agree, just think about it once. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, think about it. यार, डर की वजह से मैं सोशल एंजाइटी फील कर रहा हूँ. हाँ, सही बात है. डर की वजह से मैं पैसा नहीं कमा पा रहा. सही बात है. जस्ट सोच के देखो. The root cause of every human problem on an individual level is fear. वो ब्रेकअप क्या है? वो ब्रेकअप है fear of being alone, left alone, or fear of rejection, or fear of finding yourself incompetent. This fear is the root cause of all individual human problems. Now, what you're doing through AI, now that we are centered around AI, what you're doing through AI is that you are trying to upskill yourself on the टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट्स. टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट्स मीनिंग किसी से बात क्या करनी है. बात तो तब करेंगे ना जब ये पता होगा कि बात क्या करनी है. सो इट इज लाइक अ ट्रेनिंग ग्राउंड, अ प्ले ग्राउंड सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग. दिस is how I look at it, and this is going to be the future for sure, is what I believe. Secondly, now that you talked of someone who was writing the follow-up question, I think was bang on when I said it is like also like a filtration process. छोटी छोटी issues chat gpt help कर सकता है, answer कर सकता है, but for human touch, for clinical illnesses, you have to go to a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist, whatever the mental health expert that you want to go. So that was bang on point. I'd say kudos to the person who wrote it. And I think in a roundabout way I tried to give the answer, because so that it becomes a little more relevant to all the other people.
Yeah, so I think you contextualize it. Let's take up another question. It's by Parth. So this question is quite relevant, I feel. The question is how to stay in touch with friends online but not lose touch with family in house. So very interesting question.
I am amazed such questions are coming to me in an AI summit. I was just, and by the way guys, I was fearful कि मैं AI summit में बोलूंगा क्या, and I didn't prepare for the simple reason कि ठीक है अब जो होगा देखा जाएगा. And I am glad that people are answering, like asking this question. I think Parth is saying no audio. Is my audio clear?
Yeah, your audio is audible to me at least.
To others?
Can other people confirm it?
Yes, audible.
Yeah, okay, great. So I think Parth might have some audio issues. Either ways, we can take up the question.
Okay, so matlab, I would love to listen to this question again just to know the nitty gritties. I want to hear it slowly so that I get the language also right.
Okay, so he's asking how to stay in touch with friends online but not lose touch with family in house. So for example, I'm sitting in front of my family on a dinner and chit chatting with being with friends online, and although my family is yelling at me, keep the phone aside, keep the phone aside. So probably he might be in that dilemma, I suppose.
Nice.
Correct
I
me if
got
I'm
the
wrong,
question.
Parth.
I got the question. I just wanted to listen to his language, his uses of words, which was phenomenal to say the least. You put it in the exact words, and I guess write down in the chat box how many of us feel the same problem. कितने लोगों की ये same problem बनी हुई है? मतलब ये problem होती है. I am the first one to raise my hand, right? Ritesh says me. Okay. केवल रितेश की प्रॉब्लम. हिमांशु आल्सो सेज मी. ह्यूमन एआई पॉडकास्ट वाले बोल रहे हैं मी. ओके, इतिका आल्सो सेज मी, प्रतीक आल्सो सेज मी. तो ये प्रॉब्लम देखो सबकी है, एंड दिस इज प्रिसाइसली बिकॉज आर्स इज अ जनरेशन दैट इज सीइंग अ लॉट ऑफ चेंजेस. टेक्नोलॉजिकली जितने एडवांसमेंट हमने देखे हैं उतने no generation of any species ever on this planet has seen. I'm not just talking about human beings, I'm talking about no species ever on the planet has seen so many technological advancements or technological shifts and changes as much as has been seen by our generation. So the reason to tackle is just being aware of your own self. There are two aspects to it. One is self awareness and another is self discipline. तो देखो इसका कोई सॉल्यूशन नहीं है कि आप ऐसा 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 करो और सब सही हो जाएगा, और मैं कोई बाबा भी नहीं हूं कि हाथ देख के बता दूंगा कि बस कृपा वहां अटकी हुई है, 2 साल बाद मिल जाएगी, ऐसा 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 करो. The thing is, you just take care of these two aspects. Self awareness, what do I mean by that? Self awareness means कि आप अपने टाइम पैटर्न्स को ऑब्जर्व करो, किस समय आप अपने टाइम को सबसे ज्यादा उस चीज में लगा रहे हो, उस गैजेट में लगा रहे हो, ठीक है, और उसको अकॉर्डिंगली ट्वीक करो उस टाइम से जो कि आपकी फैमिली के साथ आप स्पेंड कर रहे हो. तो लेट्स से मेरा मैक्सिमम मोबाइल यूजेस ऑफिस आवर्स के बाद रहता है 7 to 9. अब 7 to 9 में से अज्यूमिंग कि 7 to 8 इज स्पेंट इन ट्रैवलिंग, after that 8 to 9 is my family time. So can we just tweak that time? Maybe just let that 7 to 8 time be there, but jo extra 1 hour hai, that extra 1 hour could be shifted either in the morning or afternoon, or could be split into parts. 15 minutes right before going to bed, 15 minutes right before coming out of bed in the morning, 15 minutes in my lunch break at the office, and 15 minutes casually. Can we do that? If the answer is yes, the first and the foundational thing to that is you need to have self awareness, right? So that is the first aspect, and I'm going very briefly about these aspects. Of course, there can be a lot of tricks and hacks involved in it. The second thing is self discipline. Now once you are aware, once you measure your time, improvement happens where there is some sort of measurement, where some sort of quantification is there. So once you are aware of where I'm spending my time and how I'm spending my time, you can tweak it. Once you tweak it, the only thing is self discipline. कि no matter कितना भी important email आ जाए, I will not do it from 8 to 9 time. The flip side to this is, so this was one part. One way of doing it is self awareness plus self discipline. The second way of doing it is you simply improve the quality of time spent rather than the quantity of time spent. So what do I mean by quality of time spent? Let's say you are living in a nuclear family with just a spouse. This is just for the ease of giving examples, right? So you and your wife are there, or you and your husband are there. To spend quality time means, let's say weekly we can go once for a movie date. And I know one of my professors, he was the head of department of psychiatry, a well-known psychiatrist over here, and he and madam have been going on a movie date for the last almost 30 years without a stop, because they are both busy in their own worlds. Sir is a well-known psychiatrist, madam is a well-known gynecologist. There are professional requirements, there are professional obligations, no doubt about it, but their way of staying committed to the process and staying committed to their relationships and ensuring they have a quality time is movie dates. Can you think of something like this similarly in your own life, depending on your life situations? What is it that you can do to improve the quality of time spent, and maybe not worrying at all about the quantity of time spent? Let's say you are living in a family with your mother. Just buying her some simple groceries can make her entire day great. Just going to the kitchen once and helping her wash the dishes can make her day great. Just asking her, how are you feeling today, do you need any help, can make her day great. These simple hacks, no matter how simple they sound, have the power to transform your entire life. And this is again one of the ways that I think, and this is precisely what I have been following. So I use social media and WhatsApp. In fact, I always say half my brain is on WhatsApp, but I ensure that whenever that time's right, there's a quality spending of time, and this is what is precisely needed: quality over quantity. Over to you, Ritesh. These are the two
Very interesting.
sides of
I have made a lot of notes, and definitely this is going to help. So Pradhyumn ji, how can people reach out to you?
You can connect with me over LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp. WhatsApp's my favorite. Emails maybe, or you can download my app, the Fly High app. It's live on Play Store. Not really sure. I'll have to check with my team on about Apple Store, but it's definitely live on Play Store. You can reach out to me there. You can read my books. Especially the second one is something that I wrote for techies like you and corporate guys, the School of Life. The short, crisp summary, I think will be much useful for you, and you can open it any time of the day, no matter how you're feeling. It will just make your day a little more bright, a little more vibrant.
Great. I think this has been, there are a lot of couple of more questions, but due to the time constraint, we'll have to take these questions later, maybe in a separate session. But I think the insights, the little insights that Doctor gave us might have helped us quite a lot. And this is, I feel, with the conversation that I had with him, I think a month back or so, this is just probably 0.1% of what he it is already existing in his brain. So that being said, thank you so much, Dr. Pradhyumn, for being here and talking on taking on this techies perspective of life, as well as how to deal with their day-to-day stress, as well as other questions that you help us ponder. Thank you so much, Pradhyumn.
Thank you so much, Ritesh, and entire team for having me. Kudos to you. Also, Himanshu, I've been seeing you on Human AI podcast with him. Congratulations to both of you for what you're doing. And thank you so much, guys. For any problem related to any socio-cultural or any sort of mental or emotional issue that you've been facing, just reach out to me. Predominantly on Instagram, LinkedIn, and WhatsApp is where I'm active on. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Some simple life hack being shared there. Thank you so much, Ritesh and team, for having me. Hope you enjoy this 15th August, which you are already by trying to upskill yourself a little bit. Kudos to the entire team and congratulations for this successful organization.